access to this. So how to use Zoom. So basically all I need you to do, or all you will need, is how to raise your hand. So I want you to do that right now. So you want to raise your hand virtually, not physically, Ram. So because as I'm lecturing, I don't see you. So I need you to be, if you want to interject, if you want to ask a question or make a comment, you need to be able to raise it virtually, and then I will see you. So to do that, you go to participants, and you should see on the bottom, you should see the option of raising your hand. If you have the one that I have, the same one. Some people have it different. Those of you who don't see what I'm talking about, can you explain to the others how to do it?
If you go to the bottom of your screen, all the way on the right, there's a button that says reactions. So just click where it says reactions, and there will be an option that says raise hand.
Oh, okay. I don't have that at all. Oh, maybe because I'm the, okay. So King, you got it? King and Stajic, Wagler, all of you raise your hands. So I know you know. Leisman, you got it? Okay. Ram, let's see. Oh, Rivera. What you're not seeing? Who can help Ram and Rivera? Oh, Rivera got it. Who can help Ram and Stajic? Who has another way to do it? And
no, I have it.
You got it? Okay. Who spoke just now? Stajic, was that you?
I'm not seeing it on my participation.
Oh, not that one, not the clapping. There, you got
No.
it. You can clap all you want.
Do you see reactions under your screen?
Nope.
No. When you click participants, there next to it, you have chat, share screen, record, and reactions.
No, it doesn't have it on my.
It's not under participant. It's next to participants when you click more.
If you're on an iPad or an iPhone, you would be able to see it under more. It'll say raise hand.
Yeah.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
You see it? Okay.
Yeah, but I went on more and okay.
Ah, there we go. We all have it. Awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Okay, you can take down your hands now, please. Thank you. Now, second thing we're gonna do is we're gonna rename you. Oh, one more thing. You can also put your questions, if you're kind of shy, you can put your questions in the chat, and I'm regularly checking. So I'll call you out or I'll respond. So you can also do that, right? These are the two ways you would do it. Raise your virtual hand or put it in the chat. Okay, now I'm gonna rename you. To rename, you wanna go to participants, you go to your name, to more, and then you have the option of renaming. So I'm gonna give you a group number, and you will put the group number in front of your name, and then you will put, please, just your last name. You can put your first name too, but your last name has to be there because that's the only way I know you. So let's see, groups. I'm gonna do this. So we have Olivera and Stajic who are added. So, okay, we're gonna go here. Okay, I'm gonna put Olivera here next to Pierre-Antoine, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Hold on. Let's do this. Oh, one group will have 5 people. Okay. So, oh, I see a new person. Alex F. Who are you? Who is this Alex F. cartoon character who is joining us today? Oh, Alex, what is your last name? Can you type it in the chat? I think I'll put all the extra people together. It'll simplify everything. Figur is your last name? Okay, good. All right, so let me do this. So listen carefully. Group 1, Ahmad, Alim, Delmas, Granik. Group 2, Kestenbaum, King, Leisman, Morales. Group 3, Pierre-Antoine, Ram, Rivera, Sosa. Group 4, Vargas, Wagler, Williams. And then group 5, Olivera, Stajic, Figur. Got it? Okay, so now you want to rename yourselves. I feel like the groups aren't balanced gender-wise. I'm like, Sosa, you're with a bunch of girls. Are you okay? You cool with
Professor,
that?
you said my name twice, so am I in group 3 or the last one?
Group 3, Rivera.
Okay.
And then we have Vargas, Wagler.
I'm group 3 as well.
Who spoke? Ram? Ram. You're in group 3, yeah. And then Vargas, Wagler, and Williams. Who's this Wagler? Ah, Wagler, you're with a bunch of girls. This is not good. I feel like putting stage with you. These 3 people that just arrived. I'm trying to figure out where to put you. Let me work on this a little bit. I'll get back to you. Let me just make sure I have the gender down. That way I can, yeah, I want to make sure the groups are balanced and you're not like in a boring group. King, you have a question? King? Or did you just forget to lower your hand? Okay, who else has a question? Stage, you have a question? Go ahead.
Yes, Professor. So, what group am I in? You said you're switching me?
Yeah, I don't know. I have to. Yeah, I need like 5 minutes to.
Okay, so
5 minutes to figure this out because I don't know if I like.
Okay, so should I take down? Should I take away the number? Because I already put number 5.
No, leave it for now. We'll
Okay.
next time when we meet, we'll go over briefly this again, and I'll have figured it out in my head. So we have like some balance. So it's good. Right now it's good practice. So yes, I see that all of you have a number before. That's perfect. Except Alex. Alex, to change your name, you go to participants, you go by your name, and then you go to more. And there you have the option to rename yourself. And Wagler, are you struggling with renaming yourself? Is there an issue?
Oh, I thought because I have my last name in it, it's okay.
Because what?
I thought because I had my, oh, wait, never mind, I'm sorry.
And you need a number, but we don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do I rename myself?
Okay, so you go to participants. I hope, Alex, you're listening to this. You go to participants, you hover over your name, you'll see the option for more. And you click on that and you'll see the option to rename yourself.
Okay, I got it.
Okay, Kevin, you have a question? Unmute yourself. You have to unmute yourself.
Sorry about that. Did you want to stick me anywhere or?
Oh, thank you. That's great. Okay.
Yeah, I will be here for the whole semester, so
good.
I'm fine.
Okay. All right, this is good. Yeah, I'm thinking about this. I think I'll do that. I'm struggling with group 4, to be honest. So I'm gonna.
There are only 2 people on group 4.
Group 4, there's 3 people: Vargas, Wagler, Williams. But Wagler is the only male. I want to put another male there. Maybe I'll put Kevin there or something, but I don't know. I need to figure it out. and put you with people I feel you will be compatible with. Stage, you have a question? Stage?
No, I'm sorry. I just forgot to lower the hand.
Okay, good. All right, let's continue. Good. Now, next thing you're all going to do is send me an email so that I can have your contact. So here's my email address. So please send from the email that you use. Don't send me from the stupid official QC email you never look at. So the email you're using. So you send me, please put in the subject line, you put your first and last name. I need both, right? First and last name, and then you just send the email to that address. That way I have you down and I can contact you anytime I need to, because I know that the Blackboard version not gonna work. Okay, great. While you do that, yeah. Good. Let's see, I think that's it. Okay, yes, let's go over Blackboard really quick. So I'm gonna share my screen and we're just gonna go over the different menu items. So you know what's going on. And this thing is gonna be my wing. Okay. All right. Forward. Okay, you see here on the left hand side, you have the announcements. Here you have the syllabus, right, that's posted. This will get you, the Zoom classroom link will get you directly in the class without a password, I believe. If you do it differently, using the one I put in the email, you need the passcode that you used today, right? But here you can go directly. This is the Google Drive where you will put your assignments. Why is this so complicated? It's supposed to go directly into it. Anyways, I'll look at that. But technically, yeah, here we are. Okay, you see you have some reading assignments. These are the folders for the reading assignments, and then the final project and the tests. So that's how, now the way you do it, please don't write directly in the Google Drive, right? Some of you will want to type directly in it. You don't want to do that. You want to save it to your computer, and then you want to kind of drag it into the folder. The reason I say that is, for me, it's easier to grade when you do it like that. So you drag a doc or a PDF, you know, and you drag it into it, and that will be ideal for me at least. Well, let me just go back to, okay, good. So then the grades, this will take you directly to the grade book. And then this is my contact, and that's it. That's all you need to know. Any questions on the Blackboard tutorial that took 30 seconds? Okay, great. Yeah, now you know, at the very beginning of the pandemic, it took like a whole hour to go over all these things, but now you guys are used to it. So, okay, great. All right, let's go into the syllabus. So Alim, okay, great. So I need to fix the Google Drive, clearly. Yeah, I need to make it, let me make a note to myself. So Alim is not able to access it. So there's a problem with the way that I set it up. So I'm gonna fix that. You don't need it anyways for now. Good, all right, so let me, if only this could go away. Anybody, no one can see what I see, right? I have this strip of students in the middle of my face, and I want to, they changed the Zoom, you know, and now it's impossible to use. My screen is clear for you? Okay, great. Because I have like a row of students on the right looking at me. Okay, great. Okay, so let's go over a little bit before I go into like the logistics and the work, you know, all the homework and stuff. I want to take some time. We have some time. We have about maybe 20 minutes. I want to really introduce what this class is about, so you know what you've put your foot into. And this is already an introduction to biblical literature, obviously, so you might want to jot down some notes, because this is already going to be important, right? If you miss this, you're going to really miss the whole trajectory that we're going to take together in this particular class. So you want to make sure you jot some of these things down. So, you know, a class on the Bible is rather unusual in the college, right? In the university level. In France, it's illegal, right? Where I come from, I wouldn't be allowed, right, to teach such a class. So, and you know, the Bible really, when you hear that word, it's very laden, right? Negatively. Anytime you talk about the Bible, people identify you with, you know, some, you know, fundamentalist, or, you know, somebody who's, you know, steeped in patriarchy, or somebody who's, you know, ethnocentric, right? So the Bible really has gotten a really bad reputation over the centuries, right? And there are reasons for this, right? One of the reasons is that the Bible has for centuries been used as a weapon, right? To condemn, to judge, to oppress, and to kill, right? This is in response to your question, Sosa, right? I mean, we have used the Bible for all of these purposes, right? We have brandished the Bible in the faces of people that we were about to kill, right? So there's really a lot of issues, right? This is a very laden text. I mean, the Bible was behind the Crusades. It's been behind the oppression of women up until today. It's been behind the justification of slavery. It's today behind the oppression of the LGBT community, right? So it's a really difficult text, right? It's not an easy text to really talk about without hearing in the background, right, all of this very heavy historical backdrop, right, of biblical literature. So you might wonder, right, why would we study such a book, right? What is the relevance? What's the use, the value of studying such a book, which has been used as a tool for oppression, which has been used in order to keep entire communities down, right? And so that is the question, really, right? So before I continue, let me just go to the chat really quick. Yes, very good. King, you answered very well to the question of Sosa, right? Why is it illegal to talk about the Bible in France, right? There is really a strong law about the separation of state and religion. Why? Because for a long time, France was under the oppression of the church, right? The church controlled everything and oppressed the people. So now there's really this idea that we don't want this type of oppression anymore. So if you're going to be religious, you can be religious in your house. Don't bring it into the political sphere, right? Okay, so let's go into, right, why would we study such a book, right? So first of all, I want to say that this is true. There are elements in the Bible which support the oppression of women, which support the Crusades, which support slavery, right? We cannot take away from the fact that the biblical culture in many ways is ethnocentric, patriarchal, sexist, and racist, right? There are certainly cultural elements in the Bible which are all of these things, right? Ethnocentric, you will find. Patriarchal, definitely. Sexist, for sure. Racist, also, right? So the biblical culture certainly can be problematic. Now, we have to distinguish between the culture and the actual message, but definitely you have elements in the biblical text, right, which are patriarchal, which are sexist, which are racist, and so forth. But what we do not know is that there, and this is, make sure you listen now very carefully, is that in the biblical text there are texts that also go against patriarchy, against sexism, against racism, and against ethnocentrism. In other words, the Bible does not speak in one voice. That's the main point I want you to get today. There is not a single voice preaching through the Bible. There are many voices. There are voices that are patriarchal, and there are voices that are subversions of patriarchy. There are voices that are racist, and there are voices that are against racism. Ethnocentric voices, open, tolerant, universal voices, right? Voices that shut down women, voices that give a space for women to speak, right? So you have, what we need to understand is that there are books in the Bible that actually subvert the Bible, right? There is a whole literature of subversion within the biblical text, right? Which goes against the dominant culture, right? So let me make sure I write this down, right? There's a whole literature of subversion. Let me make sure I'm writing this for everybody. Against the biblical text itself, right? Right, there's a whole, and this literature of subversion we call the wisdom literature, right? And this is what we will be studying in this particular class, right? And we'll go over which text in a second, right? So main thing, right, that I want you to remember, the Bible is not monolithic, right? Let me write this down, right? The Bible is not monolithic, right? It's not a single voice. There are many voices, right? There's a voice of, certainly there are patriarchal voices, there are priestly voices, but there are also women's voices, foreign voices, oppressed voices, oppressor voices, right? They're all together, right? You have all of these voices. The problem, why the Bible has become this book of patriarchy and domination and oppression, is that only one group has been studying the Bible for centuries, right? If you look at the people who have been studying the Bible are usually one particular gender, particular culture, a particular ethnicity even, right? And this is why we have only seen the patriarchal ethnocentric voices so far, right? And this is why we need to broaden the readership of the Bible so we can discover these other voices, which we're going to study in this class, right? So this is really the purpose of the class, right? To resurrect these forgotten voices that have been put to the side by the dominant readership of the Bible. Stajic, you have a question. Go ahead.
Well, my hand has been I've raised my hand for, I don't know, 5-10 minutes now. I would say that the reason behind it is not because these things really are the way they are, rather people misunderstand and misinterpret what the Bible is actually saying. I don't think that the Bible is sexist in any way. It's just that in some passages it seems as if what it's saying is sexist. However, this pertains to not what it's talking about, rather the context in general. And people are sometimes, in many times, just taking one verse and using that as using that to actually point out everything, to try to strengthen their point, rather than taking the whole context. And in that case, they would realize that everything, just that one verse is not enough to explain what the whole context is about. It's misunderstood and misused in many ways.
Yeah, absolutely, right? I like the way you put it, that the Bible is not sexist, and I agree with you, right? The Bible as a whole, you cannot say is sexist, because there are so many anti-sexist voices in the Bible, right? But there are some passages, right? Which and you're right, we have to interpret, we have to go deeper than just read literally, right? But there are some passages that, if taken literally, right, could certainly come across as sexist, right? But you're right, I like the way you say that in general, we cannot say that the Bible is sexist because of all of these voices that are there, right? You don't have a single voice, right, in the text. Pierre-Antoine, go ahead. You have another question. You have a question.
Yeah, I definitely agree to a certain extent, because like I think people just have to realize, like, a lot of the passages, a lot of the books in the Bible are written by men. Like, no matter what, like, yeah, they're listening to God's voice, but at the same time, a lot, like, if it's not tracking like a historical perspective, like how Genesis focuses on like the creation and like the genealogy of like Abraham and his people, a lot of the time, like if you look at Song of Psalms, or you look at Psalms and Proverbs, and like even like the letters to like the church that Paul wrote to the different churches, like they're accounts from man. So like you're gonna see these different things. Like it's not all like, some of it's like praising God, and some of it's just like expressing God's love and everything, but it's not God saying it, it's just somebody expressing it in a sense.
Okay, yes, and you make an excellent point that most of the authors, right, are male, right? So obviously you're going to have a dominant perspective there. But like I said, there are other voices too. And some of the books that we're going to study, there is actual speculation. Some commentators are saying that they might have been written by women, but they write, one of these books, of course, is the Song of Songs, right? That might have been authored by a woman. Some people also say the Book of Ruth, right, could have been authored by a woman. So we do have, right, or you have, of course, very strong female characters, which counterbalance, right, the male authorships. But you're right, the dominant authorship is male, so we should expect to see more the focus, right, in the Bible in general. It will be the focus of a man, right? And it's but we have, and what the class is going to do is to find these other voices, right? And we'll talk about these in a second. So so let's go over briefly the books that I have chosen, right? The book of Genesis, the book of Ecclesiastes, Ruth, Esther, Song of Songs, and the Gospel of John. So let me talk briefly about, first of all, Genesis, right? So here we'll be focusing on Genesis 1 to 11, right? I'll introduce these at length when we get to them, but what I notice about Genesis 1 to 11 is that it is the history before the religious history, right? This is the history of mankind in general. You have the creation of mankind, you have these kind of archetypal stories of Cain and Abel, the Tower of Babel, and the flood, right? So these are universal stories, but what's interesting about these stories is that they're written in a way, the style is philosophical. Even though they might have been based certainly on history, the way they're written is in order to make us think, right? So that is why I am classifying Genesis 1 to 11 as part of these wisdom texts, right, that we're going to be studying, right? Wisdom literature. So let me just define a little bit wisdom literature. We'll go into it next time in depth. But wisdom literature is really all of these texts which subvert the dominant culture of the Bible, right? That's how I would define wisdom literature. These are the philosophical texts of the Bible which go against the grain, which subvert, which rebel against the dominant patriarchal culture of the Bible, the biblical landscape, right? So Genesis 1 to 11, we will see, is deeply, is pre-patriarchal. We're going to talk about that. This is before even the culture became patriarchal. You have these very ancient texts, right? Remember, Genesis was supposedly compiled by Moses, but these texts, they're way before him, right? They're much more ancient. They have been compiled by him. Maybe he has written from Genesis 12 on. There is a unity of style from Genesis 12 on. But before that, these stories are much more ancient, right? They are archetypal stories of mankind, and they are written in a philosophical style, meant to be reflected upon, right? So they belong, in my view, I'll give more detail why, to the wisdom literature, to these texts which not so much subvert patriarchy, but are pre-patriarchal, right? Then we'll study the book of Ecclesiastes, which is, for those who are from the Jewish background, this is the book of Kohelet. So this is also a fascinating book, right? This was authored by an insider outsider, right? Just let me write this down so you see what I mean. This is King Solomon, right? Who was both an insider to the culture, but also an outsider, and we'll see why. Right? And this particular text is a masterpiece of subversion, right? Everything is exploded in this text. Everything we thought to be true, everything we have been taught, right? So far in the Hebrew Bible is questioned, right? This is radical questioning. This is the Descartes of the Bible. Right? If you know Descartes, who decided to doubt everything and then start over, this is King Solomon. He is doubting everything he has been taught, and he's trying to start over on a different level, and we're going to see where he ends up, right? Having destroyed everything, where does he end up? And this is fascinating to see where he will actually end up. Very similar to Nietzsche, right? Who destroys everything, explodes everything, and then gives us a new path. Right? Okay. It's easier, I think, for me if you raise your hand, because the chat is going very fast and I can't follow. So if you want to say something, please just raise your hand. Sosa, go ahead. Sosa, you must be muted still, I guess. Let me see. Where are you? Yeah, Sosa? No. Okay, you're stuck in the chat. All right, let me see what you wrote. Yes, that's it, Sosa. Yes, we've studied this before, right? In other classes. You're right. You got it. Okay, good. So Ecclesiastes, right, is going to be quite frightening to some of us, right? Because he is really going to take the ground from under us. That's what he's doing. He's basically opening up the ground, and then we have to walk in the air. So, but of course, he's going somewhere with that, right? He's not, a lot of people see Ecclesiastes like a nihilist who has no, he doesn't offer anything. He's just a repentant sinner, right? Who says that, life is meaningless and let's all die at the end. There's a lot more going on, right? He's actually going to give us a different approach, a different path, a different spiritual path than the institutional path that we have been following up until then, right? So it's going to be very interesting. Now, I have then regrouped the three books on the woman, Ruth, Esther, and the Song of Songs, and I've entitled these, if you saw the blurb, these are what I call the three Hebrew goddesses. Why do I do that? By the way, my father, he saw the blurb, and my father is an Old Testament scholar, so he saw it and he's like, there's no Hebrew goddesses in the Bible. I just wanted to point out to you. Right? And I was like, yes, I know, it's rhetorical. Obviously, there are no Hebrew goddesses. But when I talk about goddess, you will understand what I mean. First of all, what I'm observing, why I have grouped them together, is that they have unifying themes, which resemble elements of the goddess religion in Canaan. So this is very interesting, right? You're familiar that alongside the patriarchal religion of the Hebrews, you had the Canaanites, which were the neighboring tribes, who worshipped the goddess, right? The goddess had, depending on where they were, was called Inanna or Ishtar. And I can't type this in the chat, it's correcting me. Or Ishtar, right? These were the surrounding goddesses, right? These were the goddesses of the pagans around the Hebrews. And what's fascinating, what we're going to find in our study, is that the books of Ruth, Esther, and Song of Songs have thematic connections with the way that the goddess was worshipped. There is an intentional connection made, right, between these three powerful women and the goddess worship. So one of the things we're going to learn in this class, and this will be especially beneficial to women, is to recover what does it mean to be a strong, powerful woman, right? This is what I mean by a goddess, obviously, right? These are three very powerful women. The woman in the Song of Songs, the Queen Esther, and Ruth, right, are three very powerful women. And so one of the goals of the class will be to decipher, right, as a woman, what can we learn from these powerful figures? When I read the commentators, when I was preparing for this class, there's, I mean, especially when it comes to the Book of Esther, there's so much emphasis on the political aspects of the Book of Esther, and hardly anything on the way that she evolves as a woman. It's unbelievable. Nothing has been written on Esther's individuation process from concubine to queen, right? There's a whole process she goes through from, a very passive, submissive woman into this powerful queen, right? Who reaches equal stance with the king. And nobody has written anything on her journey, right, as a woman. So one of the purposes of the class will be to read these texts differently, right? To read them as a woman. What can I learn, right, from Queen Esther's journey? What can I learn from Ruth's journey, or from the evolution of the woman in the Song of Songs, right? So I'm going to really focus on these books with more of what we would call a womanist perspective, right? I don't use the word feminist because feminism is laden in a certain way that I don't ascribe to. So womanist is a similar approach. It's a woman's perspective. So we're going to be really looking at those books in that perspective. Okay, couple questions. Who are you? I can't tell, that everything is different. Granik, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I thought it was interesting. Like when you were talking, I kind of thought it was interesting that, like, specifically in the Bible, like, they're not literally goddesses, these strong women. Like, they're kind of like, this is an achievable goal, like something that can actually, like, real people can achieve this.
Yes, I love it. Thank you. You're saying very nicely, right? These are down to earth, real women, right? And yet they have this powerful journey. They have this power, right? We're going to study that. What does it mean, right, to be a powerful woman in the Hebrew sense, right? So yes, the goddesses Ishtar and Inanna, you cannot become. You can just worship. But here, this is a trajectory that women can follow, right? The Bible, by the way, has no heroes. It has only human beings, right? This is one of the beauty of the Hebrew text, is that it is talking about anti-heroes, human beings, fragile, broken human beings, and yet who reach a certain level that we can emulate, right? Yes, so absolutely, King, right? The female goddess is everywhere, right? Obviously, every ancient religion has a strong female divinity. And the Hebrew religion has been condemned, right, for repressing this feminine aspect. So in this class, I'm going to show you it's not repressed, it's there, right? These three powerful women are there to guide us, but they haven't been studied. Why? Because the readership has been male. There's no interest, right, in studying this if you're a male. You want to study strong male figures. You don't care about strong female figures. So that's one of the highlights, right, of the class. This is the new material I'm going to try to bring. And then we'll end with the Gospel of John, right, which is one of the most subversive Gospels, even within the text. This is a later gospel, right? This is not a gospel which is a direct eyewitness. This has been manipulated, right? This is a gospel which has been reworked philosophically. But when you read the gospel and the teachings of Jesus as they are expressed in that gospel, he is on the verge of being stoned at least 3 times in that gospel, right? He's extremely subversive, his teaching, right? So I'm interested in that, right? This for me belongs to wisdom literature. What is he doing that is rubbing everyone the wrong way in this, right? So why is he such a problem, right? Why do people have such a hard time with this guy, right? Why? Because he is part of the tradition of wisdom literature, right? In a way, I'm seeing Jesus not right now as the redeemer of the world. I'm seeing him as a disturbing philosopher, as a Socratic figure, right? If you see Jesus as a Socratic figure who walked the streets making everyone uncomfortable, it gives you a completely different perspective, right? And what is he doing? What is he teaching? And is there value in what he's teaching, right? What is he subverting? What's his intention, right? So in this, so in the last text we'll be doing, I'll be really looking at Jesus as a subversive teacher, as situated in the line of Hebrew wisdom literature. And of course, he's at the intersection, right? The Gospels are written between Greek and Hebrew culture, right? This is the Hebrews under Greek civilization. So you have Greek elements and Hebrew elements intertwined in the text. So I situated in the line of Hebrew wisdom literature, but at the same time, Jesus also fits very nicely in the line of Socratic philosophy, right? So we're going to look at that. Good. Okay, so that's the itinerary, right? These are the fascinating other voices we're going to encounter. These are the different, how do you call it? You know how when you have a sound and then you have other sounds on top of, who's a musician? Help me. Anybody a musician? Know what I'm talking about? There's a dominant sound and harmonics. You guys familiar with this concept of harmonics? See, if I forget the word, how do I expect you to? Oh, thank you, Bella. Bella knows. Okay, harmonics is, look it up, right? Harmonics is when you have a sound that is made very pure, you can hear other sounds, smaller. Look it up in Wikipedia. Here we are dealing with this here in the biblical text. We have the dominant sound, which is patriarchal and institutional and the priestly literature, and then you have all of these other voices that are often neglected. And the problem, right, when you neglect these voices, one of the issues that happens is that you end up with a religion which only suits a small minority, right? The biblical text right now only works for a small minority of people who like to conform and want to follow the rules and, you know, are fine with patriarchy, and that's fine, right? This is a perfectly fine worldview, right? But there are many of us who can't fit within this worldview. What do we do then? A lot of the texts we're going to study are really the gospels for the wayward, the gospel of the black sheep, right? These are the texts, these are the biblical texts that were written for those who cannot conform. There is a Bible for you too, right? So if you're somebody, right, who has trouble conforming to your religious tradition and you always have questions and you're always off and everybody tells you to, you know, just shut up already with your questions. If you're one of those who's finding it hard to fit into the pew, into the synagogue, you know, the bench, right? There is a whole literature of texts that were written with you in mind in the Hebrew Bible. This is the Bible of the lost, the Bible of the wayward, the Bible of the black sheep, right? These are the texts we're going to be studying. These are the texts for those of us who can't fit in, right? Okay, I see a couple questions. Let's see. Sosa has an eternally hand up. Pierre-Antoine, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I mean, it's been such a debate, at least like in the, like, I can only really speak for Christians because I am a Christian. So like, it's been like this like debate where like a lot of people tend to fall into like routine and tradition. And like, even in the different like denominations within Christianity, there is like this argument of like this patriarchal, like driven ideology when it comes to like religion, like women, like in churches, like especially in my church, because I'm a Baptist. I'm sorry if I'm gonna go on a tangent, but like in my church, women, like we could lead like that, like any other day of the week, but Sunday, because like that's like our holy day or sacred day, like no, like a woman can't lead. Like she could do anything else, but like she can't lead like a legit, like a service. So like that is like a big thing with Baptists, like women can't really like do certain things on like on Sundays, because it's like God put men in like leadership positions and stuff like that. But like any other day is fine, it's just Sundays not. And it's like there's been this debate, at least within my church, where it's like people are saying you should really try and like follow the teachings of Jesus, and like and not fall into like this routine of like the patriarchy. And it's like it's supposed to be something that you're being led to, not what you think, not what like a man thinks. Or like when I say man, I just mean like humans in general. Sorry if that's like confusing. But yeah, like a lot of people are trying to like basically like lead with the Holy Spirit, and like that, like trying to get people out of like traditional routine like mindset of like the patriarchy and having all these different things. But it's very wishy-washy, at least in the Christian community.
Yeah, absolutely. There is a whole debate still today whether women can be pastors or priests, right? Same thing you're talking about. One of the texts we're going to be studying, Genesis 1, we're going, remind me, I'm going to be addressing this issue based on Genesis 1, right? So yes, we should expect this class certainly is going to be something, if you've read the Bible or studied it before, you will never have heard what we're going to be doing here. This is completely different. Stajich, go ahead.
What I believe that was Ezra speaking. What I think people, when they're talking about this type of stuff, are not looking at the actual overview of what the Bible actually is talking about, because we're talking about patriarchy, matriarchy, and that type of stuff. That's not the message of the Bible. The message of the Bible is the Messiah came to save everybody, not women lead, men lead, whatever. You have the Revelation. It talks about who's going to come as a second coming of the Messiah is going to be the Christ, the Michael himself. So there really is no leadership amongst human beings. The ultimate leader in the Bible is the Christ and his heavenly Father, not man, not woman, not human.
I like what you're saying, because you're bringing it back to God. But notice, who is this God? The Christ, male figure.
I don't
God the Father.
Christ. No. Again, a lot of people look at God as a male figure. God, Yahweh. I don't know. That's God's name. I don't know if anybody else uses Yahweh here, or Jehovah. Yahweh. It is not a male figure, rather just a male pronoun. If God just
it's hard, right?
Because this is a very controversial issue, and it's hard, especially in today's generation. It's hard to not say something, and everybody would be insulted for some reason, and it's very hard to not insult everybody. So you have to tiptoe around. It's no longer tiptoe around the bush. Now you're tiptoeing around the forest. I'm not even sure what words to use to describe God. I mean, if you want to look up who God is, Christ himself said, "Me and the Father are one. I'm the mirror of my Father. I'm the image of my Father." I'm not. In many times, the Bible says God is love. It doesn't talk about God as having male genitalia. I just it's hard to, like I said, I typed it up. This is a very controversial subject, and I can't say anything that will, if whatever I say in this particular case, I know I will offend many people, especially liberal and Democrats, and I cannot say anything I'll shut up now. I'm sorry.
No. All voices have a place, right? When I'm talking about the other voices, I don't mean to, actually, unlike many people, right? I don't despise patriarchy, right? I was raised in patriarchy, and I have actually good memories of patriarchy. So I actually, I think there is a lot of value in patriarchy, to be honest. And sometimes I wish I could go back, to be honest. But the goal of this class, right, but this is why I don't define myself as a feminist, right? I'm not here to dismantle patriarchy. I think patriarchy has a lot of value. And if you are able to dwell within patriarchy, it's a very good place to be. I think it's a very safe place to be. It's a very clear place to be. But the class will be in addition to the voice of patriarchy, which I think has a lot of wisdom, right? We want to include also the other voices for those of us who cannot find a home in patriarchy, right? So if you can find a home in patriarchy, I think this is one of the best places to be. And I know this sounds crazy, but I really, really have so much respect and love for patriarchy. I know this sounds insane. At the same time, I know. At the same time, right, there are many of us who cannot find a home there. And this is why this class is important, right? In addition to the patriarchal voice, which we know, I want to bring in the other voices, right? Is there a Bible for people who do not conform to institutional religion, to patriarchy, to this, system? So absolutely. Where were you? Yes, Tajic, yes. No, you should absolutely not feel like that you need to shut up, right? All voices need to be at the table, including patriarchal voices, right? There is a wisdom in patriarchy. I want to say this before I dismantle it for the next semester, right? I want to say it very clearly that I strongly believe that there is a lot of wisdom in patriarchy, and there is a lot of love in patriarchy, and love of women. And we can do. Sorry?
I think there's a lot of love for women, especially for the white-looking one.
Yes. You see, not everyone can be at home in patriarchy. Some of us can. There are many women who are fine, who thrive in patriarchy, right? And there's room for patriarchy, I think, even for non-white women, right? But so absolutely. So everybody should feel perfectly comfortable to say whatever they want to say and to be on whatever side they are, because the biblical text has everybody there and needs everyone to be there, right? Let me give you an example that I give all of my classes. This is a trick question. Most of you will know the answer. But how many of you see the bottle? Let me see. How many of you see this bottle? Put your hand in the screen if you see it. Okay. Actually, none of you truly see it, right? You guys only see this side. I see the other side. Someone sitting there sees this side. Someone sitting there sees this side. It's together that we see the bottle. Every single perspective is needed. Patriarchal, non-patriarchal, right, are both needed in this to really get a sense of the biblical truth, right? So in no way, of course, in the class, I will be focusing on non-patriarchal voices and I will be criticizing patriarchy, but there is a lot of value and wisdom there. And these voices need to be heard throughout the class. Tajic, are we on the same page?
Actually, you've mentioned that from every perspective. Are you talking about that morals have perspective of their own?
So perspective in the sense of the different, where you come from. I'm a woman, okay. You're a man, I'm from Europe, so are you, right? So that's what I mean. I'm not talking about moral relativism. I'm talking about every person, every different body has a different history and therefore a different perspective, right? As we just saw right now with Olivera, right? She was saying, well, for white women, but not for other women, right? So this is her embodied perspective, right? So I need to be absolutely clear, all of you, I'm looking at you right now, every single one of you counts. And you can say whatever you want to. This is not, there's no PC here, there's no PC in this class. The biblical writers, by the way, were not politically correct. They were constantly stepping on everybody, right? So there is no delicate behavior here. Everybody's this is the Hebrew way. When you study some of these texts, you will see Hebrews are very straightforward. They say it like it is. So everybody absolutely needs to talk. And this is why it's going to be a fascinating class, because we have so many different backgrounds in the class, right? And we'll see what we do with that. Okay, Kevin, you've been on the, been waiting for a long time. Go ahead, Kevin.
One of the things that I have found helpful in teaching my students or the people that I tutor is to never, I think it's very important when talking about the Bible in a philosophical sense or even in a historical sense to not refer to it as the Bible. You know, like, don't say the Bible says this and the Bible says that, because the Bible is a very fluid and wish-washy sort of reference. Because I think when people talk about the Bible, we're talking about oftentimes the Roman Catholic lineage that has gotten passed down in the Western world, right? And the fact of the matter is that there are a lot of other real and large historical populations of Christians and even, you know, Semitic sorts of religions that have a Bible that include lots of other texts outside of it that oftentimes have been removed from the Western canon because it disagrees with it. I guess that just goes to speak to the idea that the Bible is not monolithic, you know, which is what you did introduce to us. But also, I think it also gives us like a very clear way of being able to refer to very specific texts without making large assumptions about what a kind of very vague and dismal body of text may be saying.
Okay. Good, excellent. Let's see, Kestenbaum, you had your hand up also. Go ahead.
Yeah, just going back to what you were stating earlier with the water bottle as an example, does that mean that there can exist multiple truths within reality? As in, two people can believe two separate entities, but at the same time, they're both equal and accurate?
Yeah, this is a good question, right, for our time. Here's how I see it, right? There is a fact, one single fact, right? We're not in a post-fact world, right? But you can certainly see the same fact differently. So in the sense, there is a truth, which is the bottle as a whole, but we cannot access alone the truth, right? We can only access it together. So I don't believe that there are separate bottles or separate realities. There is one reality, but different perspectives on that reality, right? So I do stand for the concept of truth, but truth as intersubjective, truth as something that we can only reach together. Which is why, I mean, even politically, we're very divided. I believe that as long as we remain divided, our country will limp, right? We need to be able to bring these perspectives together, because no matter how far the Republican Party might seem to have strayed, right, there are values there that need to be upheld in addition to the democratic values, right? So, yeah, I think that I will ascribe in this class, and this is a very biblical approach, right, to the fact that we can only reach the truth together, and everyone needs to be able to feel heard and to speak their truth without feeling that they're stepping on toes, right? That's the fun part, when everybody disagrees. This is going to be interesting. Let's see, Pierre-Antoine, go ahead.
Hi. Okay. Sorry. There was a lot being said. But like, Professor, what you said about the patriarchy, I can agree to a certain extent. Like, the patriarchy does benefit some people more than the other, not just like, you know, men, but like some women, like especially like white women in a sense. And like, honestly, like for women of color, like just any minority, it really doesn't benefit us, because it's like you're being seen as like not even, I guess, quote unquote, womanly or feminine. And it's like a lot of the time, like women of color are just kind of like demeaned in a sense. Like, we're not upheld as much as like white women are. We're not seen to be as protected as white women are, in terms of just like the patriarchy, which is why I think it is something important just to bring up. But also, I don't want to like butcher your name. I'm really bad at names. It starts with a S, and his last name's from Serbia. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Right.
Okay. Okay. But I definitely I agree with you like 100%. Like the message of the Bible is that like God is love. That is the message of the Bible. The message that there's a Messiah coming to redeem the world in a sense and save us and everything, which is true. But like because men, like humanity is we're the type of people to, I don't really know how to say this. Like we take things as we see, like our professor said, like perspective. Like we have different perspective on different things, which is why even in Christianity there's a whole bunch of different denominations, because there's different ways that people may serve God or people may view Jesus and stuff like that. But like because men have a way of like changing things to fit their liking is why there's a whole disagreement in terms of like the bringing in the patriarchy and bringing in all these like hostile viewpoints and mixing it in with God, which is why like there's even people who get mad when people say God's a woman or something like that, because people imagine God as like this man, this male figure, like the supernatural male figure, and God is just like everything. He's omnipresent in everything in every way. So it's like I get what you're saying, but like I probably didn't explain my last point correctly, so that's like what I wanted to say. But yeah.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
You in the Bible, you do realize that in many, especially I believe it's Isaiah and Jeremiah. Right now, I'm thinking God is pictured as a male. God is pictured as a male, as a king sitting on a throne. I don't know how else to. The Bible has described it, not me.
I mean, yeah. I'm just, yeah. I get it.
It's problematic for us, right?
Yeah, I mean, like definitely, yeah. But like I don't know. It's very. I know. Yeah, the Bible does say that. I do know, and I forgot where in Jeremiah. I know it's in Jeremiah, but like I'm not gonna get into the technicalities right now. But yeah, it does depict God as that. But like I don't know. I guess it's like just.
So this is why, right, you're raising an important point, Stajich, that there are certain passages which clearly depict God as male, right? But we're going to study other passages which bring a nuance to that, right? So this will, because to be honest, as a woman, is it enough for me that God is just a male? On the one hand, it's nice, right? But is it a full picture, right? And we'll see that the biblical text itself gives us, there are other descriptions, there are other voices, right, that we'll study. So let me conclude briefly, and maybe if we have time, I can get a couple more questions. But in the Jewish tradition, just so you get a sense of the climate of the class that I want us to have. In the Jewish tradition, if you go into a yeshiva, yeshiva is a school where people study the biblical text and the commentaries and so forth. Usually, you will see people by twos and in very heated discussion, right? You will even have people banging on the table, taking it outside, right? People will be sometimes even fighting physically over their differing interpretations, right? So the debates are very heated in the Jewish tradition when it comes to the biblical text. I want to have something similar here, right? I want us to be so passionate about the text that we will sometimes have to take it outside, right? I've taught the class before, and there were people who would get pretty intense.
Trust me, Professor, I will fight for the Bible.
I can see that. I can see that. So this is great, right? This is the atmosphere we want to have, is an atmosphere where we're all really engaged, right? Like in the yeshiva, where we are, pounding on the table for what we think is the right interpretation, because the text matters to us, right? If the text didn't matter to us, we would be like, oh, whatever, you think what you think, I'll think what I think. But because it matters, then we are here pounding on the table, right? And yes, King, we might even start our own crusade, or several crusades. I can already see how the class can start several different crusades. This is gonna be really fun. Okay, now I have 2 minutes to talk to you about the logistics. So very quickly, The main assignment in the class is the reading assignment. So the main book is the Bible. Just get a Bible, any Bible you want. You can get a Hebrew Bible. If you speak Hebrew, get the Hebrew version. You'll just need to find a Gospel of John somewhere. If you're a Christian, you can get the whole Christian Bible, whatever you want, right? Get your own text. So you will have readings pretty much every day. You'll have sections to read, and you'll have a reading assignment on that. So the reading assignment is very simple. It's 2 questions about the text and 2 criticisms. So it looks like 1 page, single spaced, 4 paragraphs, right? The first 2 paragraphs are questions you have about the text, like, oh, what does the author mean by this or that? What do they, I don't understand. And then you try to answer, you try to already think it through. And then the last 2 paragraphs are critiques. This is you already grappling with the text, right? This reading assignment is there to teach you to grapple with the text. Then the second assignment is the in-class group discussion, which you'll have every day pretty much for the first 20 minutes, right? You'll come with your reading assignment and you'll be in your breakout rooms and you will discuss together, and then we'll come together for the lecture. So you'll have a lot of time to discuss together. Maybe I'll rework the groups so all the crazy people are together. All the people who disagree will be together. I see y'all, I know now where everybody is, and I will arrange you accordingly. This is gonna be a lot of fun for me tonight. Be careful, the reading assignment, I don't accept late reading assignments. It needs to be in the Google Drive before class starts if you want it to be counted. It's only 1 point, but it adds up. So make sure you hand that on time. Great. And then you'll have a test at the end of each book that we do, about a total of 5 tests. And I will give you the questions ahead of time. So you're going to do the test at home and based on the questions that I give you in class. Any questions on the logistics? The final project I will announce later in the semester. We have 3 days dedicated to that at the end of the semester. Okay, any questions on the logistics? Granik, go ahead.
Yeah, are the assignments written somewhere on Blackboard?
They're in the syllabus. I'm just reading the syllabus.
All right, thanks.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And you will see in the syllabus, you see, right now you're lucky we have 3 introductions, right? And you have nothing to do. But as soon as you have a chapter, right, a number, you know there's a reading assignment for that. So we're going to be starting with Genesis. Good. So, Alim, yes, go ahead. Question.
Wait, are the tests going to work like last semester where we had we had the questions beforehand, we had a few days and to reflect on the questions?
Same thing, yeah. Yeah, except this time you'll have only 1 question, which will be a little longer instead of 2 questions. Yeah. Okay, are you guys ready for this crazy boat ride we're about to? This is like, what's this show, Survivor, where we're all stuck on an island and we have to cooperate? I have a feeling it's going to be. So we'll see if we make it through the semester. And I will group you with your worst enemies. It's going to be fun. So we'll talk more tomorrow, next time. I will introduce you more properly to wisdom literature in general, so you can get into the spirit of it, and that will help. But for now, you can relax, just buy your Bible, get a Bible, start reading, maybe the book of Genesis, and I will see you in a couple days. So whoever wants to stay behind, and you can, otherwise you are dismissed.
Quick question, Professor. What are we reading for Thursday?
Nothing for now. February 4, February 9, I'm just introducing stuff. So you have nothing to read. Just February 11, you start reading Genesis 1.
Okay.
It's in your syllabus. You can see everything in the syllabus. Any other questions?
Hi, Professor.
Yes. Vargas, who's speaking?